Easier to sell old customers new things than it is to sell new customers anything. So it's really easy to like pull in your current audience. Right. Mm-hmm. That's why you have some brands who just launch line after line after line, because they're just selling to the same people. And I was like, oh, we need to make more boxes. You know, our best-selling box, people have been asking for it. You know, at first I was like, oh, we're just going to do gel. And then I realized that was very limiting and people wanted other things. I was like, let's do that then. And so Mark gave me that advice, and then I joined his traffic sales and profit community for the mastermind, and that has been amazing because it's helped me scale my business.
Hi everybody, this is Sita and Garrett Lash of Puff Cuff, founder and inventor and owners of the Puff Cuff, with our podcast.
Hey.
From idea to invention. And today we have Miss Kim Lewis. Woo, 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 woo. So if you don't know who Kim is, you should know, first of all, who she is. But Kim is the Curl founder, the co-founder of CurlMix, the first DIY brand for curly hair. Her innovative take on do-it-yourself hair products has won her praise from top industry publications such as Refinery 29, separate from the other one I was just about to say, Essence Magazine, Ebony Magazine, Hype Hair Magazine, and Naturally Curly. With a bachelor's degree in logistics and marketing, see, that's where I was like, that girl can speak some numbers. Mm-hmm. Good grief. From the University of Illinois, Kim has taken the DIY spirit to heart, building CurlMix from the ground up. And literally the ground up. Yay!
And Kim's a homegirl. So for
yes.
you all that don't know from in podcast land, Sita and I are native to Illinois, and Sita's from southern part of Illinois. I'm from Kankakee, Illinois, and
right above that.
right above that. And we had the blessings of meeting at Northern Illinois University. So
not meeting Kim, she went to University of Illinois.
But you and I,
right. Okay.
And so we call Kim a homegirl because she's from Illinois.
Right, Illinois.
Representing Shy.
She knows what Garrett Popcorn is all about. And Harold's Chicken.
Right.
Yeah. I love Garrett. Garrett's my favorite.
So Kim, tell us, okay, I mean, I could just sit and listen to you talk like the whole time. Just like I officially met Kim at TSP Live, mm-hmm. which is Traffic Sales and Profit. And Kim was are you one of the founding members? Or you want,
Oh no, okay. I was one of the folks in the mastermind. So Lamar and Ronnie are the founders of Traffic Sales and Profit. And then they basically coach businesses, pretty much whatever stage they're in, to help them get to, over $1 million in revenue.
Right. Okay. So I was not familiar with Traffic Sales and Profit. I was, my cousin introduced it to me, but when I went to the website and I saw Kim and Tim Lewis, I was like, I've been cyber stalking them for years, ever since they were on Shark Tank. Right. So I was like, well, that's just right there. That's my, that's one of my reasons I gotta go. So, and then it just so happened that Kim ended up sitting in front of me at the VIP session. So with that, I was like, well, everybody kept on saying, you need to meet Kim. You need to meet. I'm like, you know what? That's on my bucket list. It will happen before I leave. But
look at God.
Right. Look at God. It just, we did get to meet, got to talk. And then she agreed to be on Eye to Eye. So Kim, can you tell us more tell us the whole background and, background of CurlMix and kind of your experience on Shark Tank. I just kind of want to hear everything you got to say about that.
Oh man, I can go for days. I'm gonna try to give you the quick and dirty, so I'm not just talking forever because I definitely can. So I know in the intro, we started as a do-it-yourself box, but we transitioned to a full-size line. So we turned our best-selling boxes into a line at the top of last year. And then at the top of this year, we kind of reworked it so that it's a system. So it's a 4-step system to get you the best wash and go ever. And what our claim to fame is our flaxseed gel. Our flaxseed gel was our number one seller for our box, the do-it-yourself box. We were sending people the materials to make it. And people kept buying this box over and over and over and over. And I remember my advisor was just saying, like, why don't you make it? I was like, well, we tried, but we couldn't. Like, it was separated. We have all these issues. And he was just kind of like, figure it out. And so I spent like I was 7 months pregnant at the time. I spent a month in my kitchen making about 50 different batches of flaxseed gel. And every time I would go outside testing it on my hair, people would just stop me in the middle of the street like, oh my gosh, I just want you to know your hair is so beautiful. Like, how do I get my hair like that? And so I was like, okay, I'm on to something here. And then we launched it to our audience, and we only did pre-orders because I had failed enough things to know that like you don't launch something before, you don't make it before people actually spend money on it.
Okay.
And so
wait. That we gonna take that nugget. Right, that's a T-shirt. Say that again, so everybody can hear you clearly.
I had launched enough. I had failed at enough launches to know you don't make something before people buy it. So you get pre-orders.
Where's my pen?
No, I'm capturing it. Trust me, I'm capturing it.
Okay, keep going.
So we basically, I put up like a picture of like a bottle, and I launched it to my audience. And at the time, we hadn't made the most we'd ever made in a month was like $17,000. But at that time, we were making maybe like less than 10, and we sold $10,000, $50. Well, we weren't making a whole lot of money, a few hundred orders a month, right? When we launched this gel, we sold hundreds in a matter of hours.
Get out.
And I was like, oh, like this is what a successful launch looks like. This is what happens when people want the product. And so because the boxes were like $30, we were able to charge $25, $30 for the gel because you couldn't get it anywhere else, right? So like brands wouldn't make it for you.
So so you did the pre-launch for the gel, right? So the pre-launch, even though they couldn't get it, how long before the pre-launch, how long before the customer could actually get the product since you hadn't made it?
It was a few weeks. It was a couple weeks, like at least 2 weeks, because basically I could only make flaxseed gel in a stock pot at the time. So I could do no more than a 60 in a batch, right?
Oh, wow. And you
so
up here in your apron in the kitchen doing one of these numbers.
Tim, leave me alone.
Right. Get the baby.
Right. The thing about it, right, the flaxseed, I knew that I could make it in a small batch, right? Like I've seen that done before, like on Etsy. But the real challenge is making it in those making thousands at a time. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, you can sell a few hundred and out the gate, but can you do a few thousands in 6 months?
Right.
You know? And I remember my the person who helped me get set up with Amazon, she was like, okay, I'm gonna set you up on Amazon, but are you gonna be able to fill its inventory? Because at the time we were still doing it in stock pots. And this is like the following February or whatever. Because by this time we had pivoted the business. But at that time we were making it in like 5 stock pots. So like at a time we were like just rotating them, like just rotate. It was insane. We don't do that anymore. But
right. But it's just great to hear where it started from, you know, and that you were like, okay, we got this situation. Everybody, what'd you go to Walmart, buy up all the stock pots, as many that the whole.
We were doing that. Right. I forget that was the brand because they had the biggest one there. It was 30. But it's so funny because I am having flashbacks to like going to Walmart, like, oh my gosh, I only got 2, we need like 4. Like
I'm surprised you ain't get like pulled. I'm surprised they like Walmart didn't report you. Be like, you know what, she's cooking something in big batches over there. Y'all need to keep an eye out.
I was so used to doing that though, because when we were doing the do-it-yourself boxes, I used to have to get mason jars from Walmart. They had the cheapest price for them.
Right, exactly. I know. Well, we're going to
30 cases and go pick them up from like the service center. So it was hilarious.
Well, we will be back with more of Kim from CurlMix and the beginnings of her company and also talk about, because she works it with her husband, man, as soon as we get back with Eye to Eye.
Yeah, okay.
Shine.
Listen.
I got a puff up in my hair and it's clear.
It's clear.
Try not to interfere with the facts I'm about to share. People love it. They love it cause there's nothing to compare. And when something does appear, it's not real, it's a fake, have no fear. It works with dreads and works with curly hair. You won't go through the wear and tear of using bands. Oh yes, I swear you might just have a love affair. And I'm not saying that you should be well aware. The thing might end up in your thoughts and in your prayers.
perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail. The perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail.
I want you to hear, listen, that this one is clear. For all of you color hair people, we wanna see all that vibrant hair twinkle. Shine, makeup puff has been done. This is the one who begun, the dreams that became, the bronze in the brain, the change of the game, the company name.
The perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail. The perfect ponytail, no stress, no pain, no holy grail. Tired of messing around with these bands, go take a hike, go hit the trail.
Love it.
Hey there, Puff Cuff Nation and those in podcast land. This is Garrett and Sita with Eye to Eye, and with our special guest of today, Kim Lewis of CurlMix.com. And she was just talking to us about how they started, and they had pots.
Stock pots.
The stock pots. Well, that's like old school. They had stock pots, and they had like 5 different stock pots, and creating their product at the very beginning.
And she tried not to drip sweat in the, in the stock pots.
And so, so Kim, so all this started out in 2013?
So our story is I'm gonna give you a quick timeline. So 2013, we that summer we launched the do-it-yourself boxes after watching an episode of Shark Tank or whatever. Launched it, so one box for my cousin, didn't go anywhere. Was about to close up the business, and I'm like, Tim, I told you it's a stupid idea. Tim, my husband. He's like, no, Kim, if Airbnb can relaunch 7 times, surely CurlMix can relaunch twice. And so he just kind of gave me some advice on how to relaunch, what books to read. And then I relaunched it, and we sold 100 boxes on the first day in September. Okay. And then from there, we were growing for about a year up until the end of 2016. We weren't really seeing any growth at that point. And so I started to get a little nervous. At the top of 2017, I learned that my do-it-yourself boxes were more of a vitamin than a painkiller. And so what it is, if your business is a vitamin, it's nice to have. Yeah. But it's not really solving anybody's real pain.
Oh. That's another T-shirt.
Wait a minute, Kim, you throwing out some nuggets, girl. Wait a minute.
Right.
You
Repeat that one again.
Understanding if your business
is a vitamin or a painkiller. How about are you a vitamin or a painkiller?
Wow. And here's the thing, here's the thing. If I ask you to name a brand of vitamin, you might not have one. If I ask you to name a brand of a painkiller, you say Aleve, Tylenol. Things you know those things because you need them. When you're in pain, you're like, I need this thing, ibuprofen. So I was like, my boxes, and I realized this is my best customers started to unsubscribe. And I was like, what's going on? They're like, well, the boxes are piling up in my house. I can't get to them. Because they were still buying other hair care products while they were making mine for fun. So I was like, this isn't going to get us $2 million. We have to do something. And this is when I first found out I was pregnant. So I was like, I don't know, finding out that I was pregnant was like lit a fire under my butt or whatever. It was just like, this ain't working. What are we going to do? Right. So, and I really didn't want to become a product company because I already felt like the market was so saturated, right? It was so saturated. I didn't really want to go that route. But then when we kind of hooked or latched in, or I don't know, dove into this flaxseed gel idea, we saw that there were no manufacturers who would make it for us. And there was a reason that everybody only has synthetic flaxseed gel on the market, because flaxseed gel is variable, it's messy, it's hard to do at scale. It's not like we can sprinkle some acrylic or some powder with some water and make a gel and just sell it to you for $5. Because that's what most people do, right? For their gels. Yeah. This is going to require some cooking. So we went to 3 manufacturers. They all said no. And that's when my advisor was like, okay, just figure it out. So this is September 2017 when I was in my kitchen trying to figure out the gel. October, we launched the pre-launches or whatever, sold out. Then we launched some other fragrances of the gel. And then in December, we just pivoted the entire business. So we got rid of all the boxes and then just started selling gel at the top of 2018, January last year. And then we turned our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th best-selling boxes into a line also, matching the fragrances of the gel. And we ended up going from 0 to $1 million in sales that year. So, and we didn't start spending money on ads till maybe April. So that first 3 or 4 months, we had nearly $100,000 in revenue. Yeah. And it was purely from micro-influencer marketing, word of mouth, and then just our customer base, which wasn't really big. So, people are always like, oh, but you had an audience. It was a very small audience. We were doing something people were already searching for on Amazon, on Google, but they weren't finding solutions. Nobody was making it.
Wow.
So you said there's a common thread of something that you keep saying, and we were doing another podcast and we talked about counsel when you're a small business entrepreneur and seeking out the right counsel, and you mentioned it a number of times that you kept talking to the person that was counseling you. Can you talk about that and how important that's been for CurlMix and you seeking the counsel of that person?
I have, that is something I have done. So after the first year, I tried to figure out stuff out by myself. Right. And that's when I realized like, I'm not, I don't know if you guys know this, but the video is like blurry. Just letting you guys know,
Okay.
in case you're going to use this video anywhere else.
Okay.
But if not, don't worry about it.
Okay.
So I sought counsel every step of the way after that first year. Because the first year I was like, okay, this isn't working. I need some help. So I started looking at people like Gwen from Naturalicious. I knew she was doing really well with her products, and I knew her personally because my first company was a social network for curly hair, and I met Gwen when she started Naturalicious then. So I paid for a consult with her for a few $100s, and then that's when she let me know, hair care companies make 70% margins, 70 to 80% margins on their products. So I was like, wait a minute, my boxes are 30% margin. That means they have 2 or 3 times as much as money as I get for every sale versus what I'm selling. I was like, I'll never be able to compete on a marketing spend or anything, with the way that my business is set up. And the thing about boxes is that 30% margins is typical for people who do boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, it becomes a volume game. And if you can't get 100,000 subscribers, you're not going to see, millions and millions and millions of dollars. I don't say 100,000, but maybe like 20,000 subscribers.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that was the first thing. Then I joined an accelerator where I learned about the vitamin versus the painkiller. And that's when I was like, dang, my business is a vitamin. So after that accelerator, I'm thinking like, okay, what can I do in the future? Like, what can I do in the future? Even though they taught me how to pitch, they taught me about venture capital, what can I do in the future? And then I connected with Backstage Capital, and that's where I met my advisor. And I've been meeting with him since September 2017, every month for an hour at least about the business, on how to improve it, what we can be doing better. And I literally have notes from every meeting that we've had and like documented revenue channels, return on ads, all of that from the last year and a half for him. So I met with him monthly, and then what else? And then I was just always seeking community. So then after we started that, I got hooked up with TSP the following January after my advisor. January is when I met Lamar, and Lamar is like, oh, it's easier to sell old customers anything than it is to sell new customers. Sorry. It's easier to sell old customers new things than it is to sell new customers anything. So it's really easy to
get the
pull in
repeat
a current
customer.
audience.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's why you have some brands who just launch line after line after line, because they're just selling to the same people. And I was like, oh, we need to make more boxes. Our best selling box, people have been asking for it. At first I was like, oh, we're just going to do gel. And then I realized that was very limiting and people wanted other things. I was like, let's do that then. And so Lamar gave me that advice. And then I joined his traffic sales and profit community for the mastermind. And that has been amazing because it's helped me scale my business. Community of entrepreneurs. And so advice, honestly, has been the cornerstone of how we got here. Without those different pieces of advice when I got them, there's no way we would be here. No way.
That is awesome.
I feel like I'm in school all the time.
Oh, right.
Right.
All the time. But you're actively seeking that advice. That's the thing. You're actively seeking, and you're running into people that are willing to share without.
But also the thing is that other entrepreneurs who are just starting out may be scared, right? And you have to have a sense of urgency and fearlessness to approach folks about getting the advice, right? Because Kim, I'm sure you can agree that you've been in situations where you've probably seen somebody and you thought, God dog it, I am nowhere near their league, right? And you could be like, that starstruck kind of fear will prohibit you from going to talk to that person who may have the best advice that you need at that point in time. But you have to
because
it's
about
fearless.
Being hungry. It's about
hungry, yeah.
It's about being, you know what? I've got this situation. I'm here. I'm trying to get here. I'm trying to find the people that are able to help me with, be the vehicle or be the catalyst to help me get to that point.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what though? And I think something that's like missed, and it wasn't like these people all helped me for free like that. I had, so the accelerator was free, right? Because I had to apply to get in. But the benefit to them is that they look like they're, it was called Women in STEM, so they're helping women and they're attracting certain kinds of talent to the incubator, right? So that was the benefit to them. But for like my advisor, he's a share of my company, he's just not donating his time. Like he will get paid at the end of the day. I mean, he loves it. And in the beginning, he did maybe 2 months of advising without official paperwork. And then it was just a small piece. And even to get in front of him, I gave Backstage Capital, they gave me $25,000 and they took a percent, like 1% of the company, and gave me access to all their resources, which was him. He was one of the limited partners who invested in Backstage Capital. So once our relationship developed more and more, because his percentage in CurlMix was so small as a Backstage investor, that's when he was like, okay, can I have an advisory share? And that's typical, right? So, for this advice between Backstage Capital and my advisor, it maybe made up like less than 2% of the company. And so that was like my exchange with him. For Lamar, I paid to go to his event, and then I paid to be in the mastermind, which is like it was like over $1,000 a month. But it was like, it grew my business. I mean, I think I made, in certain calls I helped people within the group, I made my money back in like 2 months. Like it wasn't even my money back for the whole $15,000 that I would pay for the whole year, in like 2 months. Wow. So it was like, it was just invaluable. You know what I'm saying? So he's being scrappy, he's being hungry, but then it's like, and then my call with Gwen, where I learned about the margins and hair care. I think I paid her like $300 for that call. Because I know how it feels like when, I know people are like, they paid for their advice, so like, I've been paying for mine, and it's okay. It has worked. But
I think it's too. It's the person that you're paying. It's not just. That's a huge part of it.
Right. You just ain't paying anybody.
Right.
That's true. Look, if you ain't done it, if I ain't seen the receipts,
right. That's what.
Amen on that one.
Exactly.
Because I paid for some stuff and it was straight duds, and I was like, I thought this person was blah, 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 blah. Oh,
you'd be like, I know more than they do.
You will get those.
Hey, Kim, can you, and you touched on it, and just really at a high level, just so folks in podcast land can get a sense of the advice that you've gotten, of how it's taking you from X revenue to, X times revenue, just so that they can kind of get a sense of how valuable the advice has been to you.
So my first year in business, well, first I had a social network for natural hair where I didn't get any advice from anybody. And I was like, wasn't really open to it either as a new founder or whatever. And that business failed. It didn't even have a business. It didn't have a revenue model. And this was back in 2013-ish, right? So I put that business down. My next business was going to make money on day one. That's when we did the do-it-yourself boxes. And that started in 2015. That first year we made $130,000. The second year, we made $140,000, but that was the time I started to like look for advice. It was okay. I'm not really moving the needle. Yeah. And I'm not growing as fast as some of these other subscription boxes who have thousands and thousands of, subscribers. I'm doing something wrong. And then the year after we made $140,000, we made $1 million in sales. So it's like that year that I spent just digging and researching and calling people and putting myself in the right groups and being connected to entrepreneurs.
Isn't that huge, that putting yourself in the right groups? Because those groups are out there, but it's like you have to find. I mean, that's been a significant like eye opener even from us moving to Atlanta, and it's like, you know what, being in the right
place at the right time
in the right network. But I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. And then this year we're on track to hit. I want to do 10 million. We'll definitely hit that. We'll get close to it. It'll be somewhere between like 7 to 10 at least. But like. And now I'm just like, I need the advice. I need to be in the communities. Even if I don't see my return immediately, it does not matter. Like I need this for myself to continue to grow my business. And so I just consider it like, for schools, right? We pay all this money for a school for the MBA that we can't use afterwards because it's outdated, or they're not teaching us things that we can learn.
Kim, see, we got a whole other conversation on that one.
Right.
Sorry.
We got 1 minute. We're going to talk about that when we come back because we got to transition right quick. We'll be right back with From Idea to Invention with Miss Kim Lewis from CurlMix. So we are back with From Idea to Invention. I always look to make sure I'm saying it right, even though I know what it says. A podcast for inventors and small businesses. We are here talking with Miss Kim Lewis of CurlMix, which she is the co-founder. The other co-founder is Tim Lewis, who is in the back taking care of the little man.
Missouri.
So Kim was talking about basically the Life University, not the one here at the chiropractic school, the University of Life versus and what you
versus a formal education.
Right, and what's been more beneficial, I guess, maybe in her case. So continues talking about that.
I always look at money I've lost as an entrepreneur or spent as like my investment in my education and paying for my MBA, my relevant, useful MBA. Because what you'll find is people will go get an MBA and come out and then still have to learn the stuff that we're learning. And it's that like, and then you feel like, well, what did I do this for? And, I talked to some MBAs at some Ivy schools and they were like, if you're not going to corporate, like, don't come, and they were like, because we're trying to learn what you're doing. You're doing it. Like, don't go get this MBA, basically. And these people were like at Kellogg, at U Chicago, like these really like prestigious business schools. Mm-hmm. And so my first business, I spent probably like maybe $15,000-$20,000 on it, and I didn't really have a revenue model because it was a social network, right? Yeah. But I learned so much and I made so many connections that it catapults me in my next business. And now that I'm in my current business and we realize we have to have an education focus for natural hair, that is coming full circle now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now that investment that I made in educating women in curly hair, those first couple of years is really coming back.
Right.
So now, tuition in college, you might spend $25,000 a year. So now I'm just going to spend it on my mastermind, my school for entrepreneurship.
That makes so much sense, and I mean, because I know I can attest to how. So I have an undergrad in mechanical engineering, a graduate degree in computer science, and in 30, 25 years of what I learned in corporate America, from how to run a business, how to run an organization, and the tools are valuable, but there was nowhere near how to run your own business as an entrepreneur. That learning, I've learned more in the 2 years that I've been fully invested here in Puff Cuff than I ever would have learned in corporate America about running an organization, running a business, and being able to look at all facets of the business, as well as continue to think about, okay, well, how do I continue to research and to get capital to fuse into the business? So all of that I've learned in the last 2 years completely outweighs
Right.
what my formal education had brought me to. So yeah, I can understand.
And this is never to like discount corporate. Like what I'm saying? Like my best managers have worked in corporate for a long time. It's just that it's different. It's just a different type of strain, different type of scrappiness, a different type of self-education that is required for this particular role than would be if you were working in typical corporate America.
So are you going to start your own mastermind?
No.
That was a deep. All right, she got the bass, the follow. The voice went deep and everything.
Because I think the best masterminds is so hard to do because it requires so much of you, And my thing is like, I'm still trying to grow CurlMix to be $1 billion brand. And we still, even though we may be doing like millions in revenue, I have like other problems. You know what I mean? Like, I have things I'm trying to figure out. Like, I'll give you my current problem right now, right? So we built our business, with paid advertising. Like, that was part of it. What they don't tell you is you got to pay to play. Paying for advertising is a part of scaling that $100 million revenue, right? And for 90-something of businesses that are online.
Yeah.
But the problem is you never want your business to hinge on Facebook ads. So if Facebook has a bad month, then you need to be able to circumvent that and supplement that income because you still have 20 employees to pay.
Right.
Right. And so now my business is trying to figure out how we can go from this portion of revenue being generated by Facebook sales versus our like non-paid methods. Non-paid methods would be like email, text messaging, Facebook Messenger, those kinds of amping those things up to the point where even if our ads fail that month, we still are looking,
right. Everything can't be an all in one basket because we're facing that same situation.
And then it's like, so that means you have to almost create your own traffic. It's like, how can I create my own traffic? That sounds crazy, right? I don't have a Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I don't have not necessarily a Twitter account. I don't own Twitter. So I can't just send people to my website. So these are like just much bigger problems. Or like now, I never really worried about branding before. And I don't really think people should focus on branding early on because you need to make sure you're making money to thrive. Yeah. But now like we realize we have some branding issues, so, okay, I'm working with the consultant to figure those things out. So like, I feel like I say this to say that like I don't have the energy to be like,
do that too. Right. I got you.
Yeah, that's my thing. I feel like you shouldn't do it unless you can fully commit to the people, Right. And I want to do it first, like succeed in what I'm doing, because I could still fail, right? So after you raise $1 million, they call it scale or die. So basically, if you don't scale your business in the next year from whatever, growing in revenue or whatever, like one, you'll probably never raise money for that same business. Or two, like you'll run out of money because you didn't figure out how to scale it. And then you can no longer employ the people that you employ. So technically, we don't know if I'm successful yet because that year hasn't passed. I still have to like show, show approve or something. I forget I'm terrible with adages, but I still have to prove myself after raising money. So that's like my current, like, challenge.
Did you have a question? Because I haven't.
No, go ahead. So, I can see it well up in you.
Right, I need to ask this question. So your organizational structure, right? Where does the working relationship between you and Tim and how you have structured from the beginning to now you've acquired X amount of capital to expand. Can you talk through that at a high level for us?
So I'm the CEO, but my husband's COO, so he's Chief Operations Officer, which means that basically our business is almost split in two. So there's a brand side and there's a product side. On the product side, there's 3 departments. There's the production when they make the product, fulfillment where they package and bottle it, and then shipping where we actually ship out our orders. And he's over that department, which has about 15 employees. So he doesn't get a lot of shine, but he manages a lot of people. And that's the physical part of the job. So like it's in here in Chicago, it's on the west side. It's being made here right in the city.
Okay.
And then there's the brand side. I call it the brand side because we are customer facing. We are getting new customers. We're also retaining our old customers. So that's marketing and customer service. And then there's finance. And so I manage that team, and that team is all remote. So we almost have like separate businesses in a way, because my team is about 8 people or so, and his is about 15. But mine is on the computer all day talking to them, and his is more in person, people management, things like that. And then, of course, like running a manufacturing facility has its own challenges, because there are called GMP practice or good manufacturing practices, and certain rules you have to have in place and tests, and it's a whole other beast to run your own manufacturing facility. So that's kind of how that's like the org chart for our business.
Wow.
So are you going to hire another, do you see hiring another person kind of not at CEO or CEO or COO level, but someone in between you and or running the manufacturing arm of it?
So we did promote our production manager to our operations manager.
Okay.
So that person is like, Tim's not at work today. You know, he's not at the office today. That person is there.
Okay.
And so she's running all 3 departments, but she kind of has worked in all 3 departments as well.
So she knows, right?
So she's done bottling and labeling, she's done production, and then she's done fulfillment. Shipping. And so I do. So at some point though, we may have to hire people who are better than us in our particular roles. So whether it's a new COO, so we have to get a new building eventually. Because right now we're a part of like this manufacturing incubator, and we have like 4 separate units. But what we're paying, we could just buy a building for $1 million and pay the rent or mortgage there. And when we do that, we'll need some help to spec out the factory. I'll probably need somebody with more experience, and we'll probably hire more people. And so like in that case, you know, we would probably hire somebody who's more higher level than Timothy even. Right. And then CEO stuff. I think if the company gets to, you know, 200 million in revenue, I might not be the best CEO, and that's okay too.
Having the eyes open to know that.
I want to dedicate to my family. What'd you say?
I said just having the eyes open to know that, to recognize that. That's half the battle, because you can hurt yourself sometimes. You can end up hurting yourself sometimes by not, you know, period, if you don't have that openness to realize that.
Yeah, I look at you know, Sarah Blakely from Spanx.
Yes.
She has 4 small children. They're all under the age of like 7 or something. And you know, she's not the CEO of her $1 billion company anymore. You know, she hired another CEO because she wants to go on vacation with her family. She wants to teach them.
I mean, that's in essence what we're doing this for, not to work ourselves to death.
Right.
Right. And you were the best person capable, you know, in those roles, because it benefits you and all the shareholders. Like, you know, that's how you win. So I'm open to it if it ever has to come to that. We'll see.
How many shareholders do you have so far?
I have there are 5 investors in my last round, and then I have, it's a lot because we broke it up. So my team has equity too. I didn't just want to be the only one getting paid off, you know, if CurlMix gets an acquisition or whatever. So I have to get back to give you an accurate number, but it's probably around 10 people.
And did you set that up yourself, or you have how does that work?
So like give people equity in your company?
Yeah.
My lawyer. So we did, there's a couple things. So there's like the founders their founding members get their shares, right? And then when you get in it, and then I had some advisors who took small shares, and then actually raised a round. A round took 10% equity from like the pot. And so that round had 5 people in it. So those 5 people are sharing that 10%. So Timothy and I currently own about 75% of the company. But to give you like an accurate number, it was like I have to count all my team members and the equity they share, and the equity, like, I don't know.
I got you.
But yeah, it's like less than 15, but like probably around 10.
Okay. And then when did you start to offer equity in your company?
Honestly, I didn't. So I kind of verbally like gave it to people, but it wasn't official until my advisors got their shares. They got the paperwork for their shares when we did them. Yeah. But when we finalized everything with the actual investor from the investors, then we had to get all the documents together for everybody else too. So we did ours backwards. You should really do it. You can do it any time before you get investments. If you want to give your co-founder X amount of shares, if you want to give your first employee X amount of shares, you can do that before you get an investment. You don't have to wait on that. And it's probably better that you do, because then the paperwork will have more of a documented trail or a timeline that makes more sense.
So Was it at a dollar figure? Like, what is it at a certain amount of revenue? Then you were like, okay, now it's time to start
Yeah, it
divvying
has
up.
to be that way. It could be, you can decide on a percentage. And so, like, and you can't do this if you're LLC. So you have to make sure that you're a C Corp to even get this done. But let's say your company has issued 100,000 shares. I think everyone starts with like 10,000 or something at least.
Mm-hmm.
But you can say 100,000 or whatever. And then you could have your lawyer drop paperwork to issue a certain number of shares for a team member based on whatever percentage you think that you would want them to have. Now, we don't give out like, you don't start out giving somebody huge chunks of equity because let's say you were going to be an honest company and you gave up 10% in the beginning. That's a lot to one person who's not like a solid co-founder, like, you know, a partner, somebody who knows going to be there for the long haul, because everyone gets diluted with every round of money you raise.
Yeah. Right.
So my investors, even though they own 10%, if I raise another round, they may only, their percentage may go down to 8%. And so what they're going to try to do is create more money to maintain that 2% of equity in the company.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I just love it when she talks like that.
That's good.
Like,
You can talk forever.
Right. Good grief.
You know, Lisa, I have been thinking about, not necessarily a mastermind, but a course for people that I would put together for like a couple $100 so I could just,
you know what?
I want to help people.
First of all, put my name down right now. Like, right. Don't give away my spot. I got dibs on that spot. That first spot.
We got dibs. You be by yourself.
Well, we got dibs, but that way. So, you go ahead.
So we're gonna leave this segment and come on out and come back and continue our conversation with Kim Lewis of CurlMix. We'll see you on the other end.
Hi, my name is Lexi, aka Lexi with the Curls, and I was one of the co-hosts today at Ditch the Band 2019, sponsored by the Puff Cuff. So I love the Puff Cuff because I can do quick little styles, and sometimes I just don't have enough time to actually fully do my hair, but this is like a whole style, and it literally took about 6 to 7 seconds. So you can get so many different looks out of it. So I love the Puff Cuff for the versatility and for the different styles that I can do. I would recommend the Puff Cuff for anyone that likes a good, easy hairstyle. So whether you have long hair, short hair, and I love that also, if I were to use a band, one, it could create a lot of damage. Also, you can't really get it to be big and puffy. So I like having my hair I like it big. I want my puff to be big. And so this gives me that effect with that versus using like a rubber band.
Hey, Puff Cuff Nation. This is Garrett and your girl Sita for Eye to Eye. We're here with Kim Lewis of CurlMix, and we were in such a deep conversation, and we know that this is our last segment, but we're going to try to get as much as we can in this segment. And Kim was giving us some
it's called the Kim effect. You just kind of be like
jewels. Whoa!
It just that's I'm like, okay. That's why I was so excited because I was like, what Kim did I invite? Because I really did not think that that you would be able to do it for us. But I'm so grateful that you were able, to be she now like, look, now that's gonna have to be in the class.
But we need to see Lewis and everything. Okay.
No. Tim. Yes.
Last name is Lewis. Yes.
Last name is Lewis. Yes.
So, Kim, question. What made you all decide to do your own manufacturing versus having a co-packer?
So the thing is, the flaxseed, they wouldn't do the flaxseed gel.
Oh, so you couldn't find one.
Right. She said, remember
they
she
said no. They all said no. So me and my husband had to figure out what machine we could even do this with. And when we bought the machine, we really didn't know if this was going to work. Yeah. And we had spent like $5,000 on this machine. We were just hoping. So now that's the proprietary process. Like now we just don't tell people what that machine is because that took a lot of engineering to figure out. Right.
Yeah.
But we did recruit some help. I have a friend, she's a Black woman here in Chicago, and she does some product manufacturing or co-packing. And so our shampoo and conditioner, we recruited her help for that. But our moisturizer and our gel, we started making on our own, and our butters and our serums like that. So
okay, all right.
It's a mix. It's like 30-70. We do 70% of it. But we could do it all in-house. It would just be more of a strain on us. It doesn't make sense for us to do it until we have our own building. So it's a mix.
Got it. Wow.
So if you didn't know, now you know. Kim and her husband were on contestants on Shark Tank. Mm-hmm. And I just love they owned that show when they went in. You could tell us about your experience with Shark Tank.
It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I'm really grateful for it. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, preparing for the show, because you basically meet with producers like every week leading up to the show. And then it's extremely stressful because you still have to make sure you're growing your business while you're preparing to be on the show. So it's like you never, and you don't want to you want to make sure you're not having like low numbers that are not increasing before the show too. So it's like, it's just really high stress. But it was awesome. When the episode aired, we made a lot of money. For the month of March. I mean, we spent a lot too. We spent about $250,000 in ads, but we made about $900,000 that month.
Oh, wow.
That was insane. That was hard to do too. Like we don't do that. We don't make that much anymore monthly, but doing it that month, it was like all of last year's sales in a month, which is like, you can imagine how like my team was working long hours. Like it was just a lot, but it was great. It was great.
So did they give you any rule of thumbs of how to build up your inventory prior to the show and all that good stuff? So that
no guidance.
After you kind of do everything you need to do on the show, like to record and everything, we recorded it in September. It aired in March. You don't really hear from them until 3 weeks before your episode airs, and you don't know if it's gonna air or when it's gonna air. So you get 3 weeks notice to like prepare for that.
Oh, wow.
So imagine if you knew you were gonna do a whole year's worth of sales in
one right
3 weeks before, you would like lose it. So that was a super stressful time because I was that's when we took our first investment because I needed like a couple $100,000 like ASAP, and I couldn't wait for a bank loan. Couldn't get the money I needed from like these short-term loan companies or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we ended up doing like a combination, took a small investment from our investors on a convertible note, which was not necessarily in exchange for equity yet. It was like a future valuation.
Yeah.
But it is an equity. It is an equity investment, but it's deferred essentially.
Okay.
It wasn't like a price round or anything like that. And so I did that. And once we got the money for that, then it was time for all the ordering because you still got to get everything in so you can even start making it. And then it was like, okay, we have to stock up on Amazon. And Amazon, you have to send in a week before so that it's actually there and processes by the time Shark Tank will air. So this was just like, and then on top of that, people were like, oh, are you having a party? And I was like, a party? Like,
that's Chicago, for real.
That was so funny. And I would look at people like, a party? You know, like that would be the first thing they would ask. And so I ended up planning that party in like a day and a half. I was like, I'm not spending any more time on this. A day and a half. Like, that's it. And then we ended up donating the ticket sales to the party. So like these young boys, Black boys here in Chicago at Leo High School, they were going to Ghana, I believe it was.
Okay.
And so they just had me on the radio when I was there, and we ended up donating ticket sales to them. So it was funny. It was like the party was the last thing I was thinking about, you know?
Right. I got you.
So it was an awesome experience, and I'm grateful for it because it taught me how it made us scale up way faster than we would ever have done it.
Yeah.
So now things seem easy compared to that.
So when did you and Tim decide? Because were both of you full time from the beginning, or was there? Okay, so when did that full time piece hit?
So my husband has worked in tech, similar to, I don't know if you work in tech, but I do have a tech engineering background. Yeah. So there was never a time where my money that I would bring in could compensate for the lifestyle we had built based on his tech revenue. So, you know, he was making like 150, 160K a year.
Yeah.
For a few years, and I was just focusing on the business because we also found out early on he's not really the entrepreneur I am, and so that's totally fine. We just like, we have a different lane. But when the business picked up, so in January last year we did 3,000 in sales, and by March we were doing 30,000 in sales, and we had never seen this trajectory, and this was like with no ad spend. And I was like, and at the time it was literally still just me taking all the photos, making all the products, shipping all the orders, like doing all the customer. I had help with customer service. My first employee, like Crystal, she was an employee then, but she was the one managing some of that stuff. But it was essentially like mostly just me because she was part-time. And I was like, Tim, I need help, and your contract is over. Like, come work for CurlMix. And he was like, Kim, like, he was like, if you don't have money in 3 months, I'm going back to work. Like, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we ended up using like our refund check for those 3 months to float us because we didn't have any savings because I've been an entrepreneur all this time. So it's like our money goes into the business or into our household. So then he quit his job in March, and we started paying ourselves. Our first check was in June. And it wasn't for much. It was enough to cover mortgage and maybe some credit cards. And I was like, that was it, you know, or mortgage, insurance, and whatever was left was on credit cards.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And but now we are able to, now our income is not quite what he was making,
right?
But it's close.
Right,
so it's like,
right.
That whole year, it took a year for us to get there though, because we were still paying ourselves that $5,000 a month when our expenses were normally like 8 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Based on our lifestyle. We have a house, you know, a house in the city,
right?
But yeah, we didn't pay ourselves more than that $5,000 until I want to say maybe December. And then we bumped to $7,000. Like it wasn't
right.
It wasn't like a windfall.
Right. We didn't just start like, we living large now.
right. And this year we are able to pay both of ourselves separately. Like,
that's good.
Awesome.
I get a W-2, like, you know.
Okay.
This has never happened. So this is still new for us too.
Oh wow.
Onward and upward.
Awesome.
That is so. I love it. So we want to do the advice thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to do the advice or
you go ahead.
Okay. So we always ask 2 questions before we go. What is one piece of advice you would give to the, budding entrepreneur? Just one piece of advice that you're a mantra for you that you've learned and kind of abide by.
It's taken us, what is this the year? 2019. My first business I started in 2013. And so it took us really 5 years to see some success, to see that. And so I think that only happened because I was relentless. You was oh, but you were there, you were hungry, you were that. I have been relentless, and I had help, right? So my husband working is a huge help, and I'll never downplay that because it's not like I was a single mom trying to figure it out myself, because that matters. But I'm just being relentless and developing relationships. That is how we got here.
Awesome. I say I second that motion.
Right.
Always call it R&R, relentlessness in relationships.
Oh yeah, I like that.
The key to any business.
That's T-shirt number 3. Relentlessness and relationships.
That is T-shirt number 3. I got it.
Okay, but you have to ask your question.
So, I look at it as that's the good. What is some of the bad and ugly that a budding entrepreneur should try to avoid?
Let me think. Because there's a lot. I want to pick. We have a lot of debt now. So now the business is thriving and that's great. And the business has $1 million in the account because we just raised money from our investors and whatnot. But me and Tim, our finances are trash, and it's not we pay our mortgage later and like that, but it's just we have a lot of credit card debt. And so what people don't realize is that a lot of times when you don't, that's the first kind of funding most people use.
Right, with your credit score. Right.
Credit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. That is what people use. And so now we're just trying to fix that. So it's how can we fix our personal credit? Is it, and that's one of the reasons I was thinking about doing this course. I was okay, well now it's a little bit more motivation. It's okay. We can pay off our debt with this. So that's one of the good, bad, and ugly. What else? Relationships change, and that's kind of sad. You still want to have certain relationships with family members and this and the other, but then people kind of see you as the beacon, oh, you're the way to everything, and that's not true, And
this is still, we have not made it. It's still a work in process. Yes.
But to them you have, and what you have done is enough for them in a lifetime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's tough. So I have to say no a lot. My job has now become how to gracefully say no. That needs to be part of your course.
Right, it sure does.
And
how to gracefully say no.
Okay, because I still struggle with saying no. I'm still struggling with saying no. But to family, to salespeople who call me all the time, trying to get me to buy. I get sales calls every day. I don't even know where my number is and how they got it, but those, I have to say no to entrepreneurs, and I don't want to. I would love to help, but I'm just is that realistic?
Right.
And then what else? It's just that. That's to me. That's so hard to do. That's so hard to do.
Okay. Wow.
It feels, at least I feel like there's some, yes,
Oh no,
girl, I get it.
Yeah,
I get
there
it.
is some definitely continuity between CurlMix and Puff Cuff and how we
Right.
started and
Yes.
where we're working and how we're husband and wife team. It's just a lot of
And when
similarities.
because we
across the-
usually travel to Chicago at least, not once a year, at least every other year. So we have to come see your facility and all that stuff, and we'll grab a bite to eat.
We'll be there in September for Siobhan's wedding.
Yes, we'll be there. But then are we doing October too? Oh no, that's St.
No,
Louis.
that's St.
That's a
Louis.
whole nother thing. So, but I got you in my phone now. I can just
Kim, we downstairs.
right. She like whatever.
Right.
Well, you gotta let me know I'm at home. I work from home usually, but
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, what your spirit is awesome, and just the insightfulness and just your inspiration. I mean, totally
Completely.
inspiration.
thank you.
So, you want to take us out?
Yeah. So as we hatefully to say all the time, but
Oh, wait, and it's CurlMix.com where
Right.
they can find you.
Yeah, CurlMix.com.
And what are
What
you
about
on
social
social?
media?
CurlMix or my personal?
Whatever
No.
one you're going to give, whatever, give everything.
My personal one is Kim and Tim Lewis. And then CurlMix is just CurlMix on everything. CurlMix.com, CurlMix on Instagram,
See,
Facebook.
that's what we were saying. Make it the same on everything.
CurlMix.com. All right.
All right. Thank you again.
Well, thanks, Kim. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
All right. And those in Puff Cuff Land and Podcast Land, thank you for tuning in for this Eye to Eye episode with CurlMix and its founder, Kim Lewis. And as we always say in parting, be blessed.
No, take care.
Oh, take my
God
bad.
dog it.
Take care.
Be blessed. And be a blessing. Good grief.
Goodbye.
Bye, Miss Kim.
Bye. Have a good day, you guys.
You too.
You too.